Origi! Yeah! Unbelievable!
Hello and welcome to the Liverpool Way podcast. It's the morning after a 3-0 win over Bournemouth in which the South American lads stole the show with 3 goals in 12 first half minutes. Luis Diaz made it 5 goals in 5 starts with a quick-fire double, and then my boy Darwin made his mark on his first start of the season with a brilliant strike with his left foot at the Annie Road end. I'm Dave Usher, editor at liverpoolway.co.uk, and joining me for this one I've got Julian Richards and Paul Natton. Alright Jules, we'll start with you because I know you've got to make an early start, you've got work this morning, so what are your overall thoughts from that yesterday, main takeaways from it?
Pretty event-free game, to be honest with you. Some really good goals, 3 good goals, to be honest. Not sure what Kepa was doing for the first one. Just like absolutely crazy that he came out for that when there was 3 defenders around him. But other than that, I thought we played really well for a good patch in the first half. Second half, it felt a bit open, but I don't think it was as open as it seemed because I don't feel like, I think I had a quick look at the stats and like Bournemouth's XG was still pretty low. And overall this season, like our XG is lower than it has been last season. So I don't think we're giving up like big chances. We're giving up like half chances, maybe a bit more frequently, but we're not. But because they're only half chances, we're not getting as punished as we were last season when one team would get one big chance score, and we'd be a goal down. I don't know what's I don't know what's happened to Gravenberch, but I'm not sure it's the same fella.
I know, it's mad, isn't it?
Because he was like, and I don't know, I wouldn't be like as far to say like, oh, it was a problem with the coaching last year. It's obviously set up and the role he's playing that's caused him to, just to be absolute blossom this season. But I suppose if you say anything about what Slot's done this season, like the transformation of Gravenberch, who is obviously a good player, he's played for Ajax, he was at Bayern Munich, saw something in him, we saw something in him to buy him. So it's obviously, there's a player there. But to have brought it out of him so quickly and for him to look so accomplished, and we're only still in September, it's quite the feat. And like I was just mightily impressed with him yesterday. There were points where he was striding through the midfield, shaking off players, playing passes, just outstanding. So I thought Kelleher came in, that save he made second half on the line, great save, great reflexes. Absolutely great reflexes. Good to see him come in and play well. I don't think there were any real negatives from yesterday. I think it was a good home performance, competent. I wonder in terms of game management whether we could have pushed on second half and scored some more goals, or whether like it was just we eased our foot off a bit and played a slightly different tempo. It's not really something I was able to discern watching it live, and certainly it's not something I could work out from watching highlights of it. But overall, Bournemouth are a pretty good team. They play some decent football, but Diaz was I think it was you who said, Dave, that like he's 27, wouldn't sell him. This is the season where really you should see like him hitting his absolute peak. And it seems to be that because he looks, his finishing is just like gone up a level. Because I used to be the biggest knock I used to make about Diaz, doesn't score enough goals, but he's certainly doing that this season.
5 and 5 now, is it?
Yeah.
Nunez, I thought played quite well. Like that, the goal was fantastic. Although that is a pure Nunez goal because I can't imagine the XG is high on that from that angle.
But his weak foot as well.
But fair play to him. By damn, he made it work. It was a hell of a strike. So yeah, on the ball. Sorry, just before I hand over, the interchange between him and Salah was just absolutely sensational down that right hand side. It's lovely football, as was McAllister's ball through.
Oh
yeah,
like backspin and like dead weight. Just everything about it was it's the sort of ball that when you see it, you sort of just go, oh. You can't find words for it. You just make a noise of appreciation, like oh, we all know what we mean. So yeah, great performance. Good to put the Forest game behind us in league terms because that was the absolute antithesis of what we want to see. more like this. You know, you need to get that consistency. It's mad to say that we are top of the league currently, but we're 5 games in, and at the moment we've lost to Forest and we've beaten Bournemouth. So next week it's Wolves away, who are bottom. I would say that's a game you got to go. You know, certainly Slot would probably sit there and go, "That's a game we should win." They're shite, not to paraphrase. So I think it's about now putting that Forest game behind us and not having another loss in the league. I would say now until the end of October. So you're going to put that run together. I don't mind a couple of draws will happen. I'm not expecting a title challenge, but I don't want to see home defeats to teams that we shouldn't be losing to at home. So that put that to bed for yesterday. Everyone came away feeling great. I came away feeling better because I left before in due time, so I didn't get caught in traffic.
Yeah, I got caught in traffic. I think you did as well, Paul.
Yeah, it wasn't horrendous, but it's certainly way heavier than I've ever seen at the match before. It was mad.
You wouldn't think those how many extra seats is it? You wouldn't think that would make all the difference. So I don't know if that is the difference. But
6,000, isn't it?
Traffic is it is. It's so much worse this year.
Yeah.
Go on then, Paul. Anything to add to that?
I broadly agree with everything Jules said there. I mean, it was as you and I said on the last pod but one, Dave. We were both, the last pod, really, I was alarmed by the Forest game, like really kind of like pretty shaken by it, thinking what the fuck's going on. Obviously, Milan did a lot to assuage that, and then yesterday the same. I thought, lots of takes really that were nearly all of them positive. Well, all of them positive really. Really good to see us start with a better tempo. I thought we've been. The tempo, particularly last Saturday, was really slow and lethargic. Coming back after the international break, maybe, I don't know, but there didn't seem to be much intention to pick up the pace against Forest. But that was not the case yesterday. I thought the tempo was good. I thought Diaz was absolutely fucking electric in the first half, but especially. I don't remember feeling as excited by a Diaz performance as I did that one in the first half yesterday. I mean, I just, obviously 2 goals, but he just looked absolutely deadly every time he picked up the ball. And
that run that he had when it looked like he lost it and he just wriggled around. That would have been goal of the season.
And do you know what? Do you know what I feel he's adding now, Dave? Is a bit of strength. When he's going, I always felt he looked a bit. I mean, he is very.
He's not skinny anymore, is he? I thought
a bit
this
lightweight,
myself.
but he's kind of like he's yesterday I think we saw this, and I think we saw it. Did we see it on Tuesday as well? Just muscling past players a little bit.
He's
now.
Been built up. He's bulked up. He's definitely not like because he was dead skinny and wiry, wasn't he, when he first came?
But doesn't seem to have lost any. Doesn't seem to have lost any pace either, which is good.
Yeah, he's tacked on mass, but he hasn't sacrificed any flexibility.
I thought the link up with Robbo was looking good. That stood out to me more than it ever has before, like an understanding between those two. It's the first time I've looked at that and thought, like those two look like they enjoy playing together now, rather than like looking like they've been thrown into a footballing relationship that doesn't quite fit. I thought they were just linking up with each other really well. All 3 goals were great. I'm sure we'll come on to those in more detail later. Really enjoyed them.
We will, especially the third.
Yeah. I thought. As Jules said, Gravenberch again really good. I mean, I'm starting to think now. I mean, I am still keeping my powder dry a little bit on him because it is such a small sample size. But with each game that progresses where he's playing at this level, you're starting to think, fucking hell, where's his ceiling? One caveat to that is he did give it away needlessly for the disallowed goal with a very kind of a rushed, over ambitious pass. But that was an aberration, really. I thought the rest of the game he was very much in character with what we've seen from him this season. I thought Ibu was really good. Yeah. Some of his passing, fantastic. Directly, he assisted the first one, and he started the move for the third with the ball to Darwin for the header. But I just thought his all-round play was really good. I think we talked previously about how maybe teams are quite happy for him to have the ball because Virgil is so because Virgil's so difficult when he's to deal with when he's got the ball at the back. But it looks like we've been working on his distribution, and he just looked. And maybe the pressure of losing his place to Kwanzaa, even though he didn't want to admit that when he talked about it previously.
Yeah.
Maybe that's made him raise his game. He's always been a really good player, but I think on the ball now he's starting to look significantly better.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, all round, just really enjoyable. I mean, if I'm gonna quibble about one thing, I don't want to overdo it, but Dom shit himself in front of goal again when it opened up in front of him with a run through. But otherwise, thought he played well. I think there definitely is something to that kind of the new genie tag. I think he is sort of knitting things together with his movements. But what I don't want to see from him is that he loses what he came to us with, which is his reputation for being an attacking threat. You know, obviously he can't change his role in the team, but when it opens up for him like that, he can't sort of dither. He's got to like seize the opportunity and make it count. But I mean, in the context of the overall performance and results, that's quibbling really. I think there's just a lot to enjoy, and as Jules said, coming away from the game. Coming away from the match, it felt great to be coming away with a win, and it feels like we're in a really good position, given that we've got a new manager who's just followed the legend and he hasn't signed a player, or he signed one player. So yeah, great, loads to enjoy.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think maybe if you wanted to nitpick, you could say about the second half. There wasn't much in that either way. They maybe had as many chances as we did in the second half. But personally, I just think that's something that we need to get used to. If we go 3-0 up, don't be expecting us to get 6 or 7. I just don't think that's how it's going to be. I think it's going to be I think I've said this before, but that's what City do. It's like City go 3-0 up and you can more or less put money on it. It's going to finish 3-0. They'll just see it through and not expend too much energy. Yeah. And I think that's maybe how we're going to be. There'll be the odd game when maybe players get a bit carried away and keep going for goals. But I think more often than not, it's going to be, once we've got ourselves into that position, it is just going to be a little bit like the pace drops a bit and it's just manage the game. We definitely could have stepped that up if we needed to. I think I don't really see that as a negative, but I can see why. I mean, Brownie was not happy at all with the second half, was he? But I get it, because like you think these are there for the taking. It's so wide open. Not that they didn't play well. I thought they played well. But when you look at like the two teams in terms of calibre of players on both sides, I think they did as well as they could have been expected to do, playing the style of football they played. Like, for a team like Bournemouth, which is why I was not concerned about that game yesterday, because the way they play is not the way Forest are going to turn up and play. It's, we had problems with, like, Forest didn't want to attack us, so how can you high press a team who just doesn't want the ball and they'll just knock it long? So, but Bournemouth don't really play like that. They came and had a go. They pressed us as well. I'm not saying they did it for the whole game, but you could see, like, when we had the ball, they had 4 players on the edge of the box. They were waiting to press us.
Yeah.
And that's good, because like that's what we want. That's like if you ask Slot what would he want, he'd be like, well, if they press us, 2 passes and we can be through, and then we've got like somebody in the middle who's in space, usually Dom or Gravenberg, who can turn and then get running at them. So
there was space behind their midfield today as a result of that, wasn't there?
There was loads of space, because that's how they play. They're on the front foot. They're a brave team. They're not going to sit back and just play counter attacks. They can counter attack, but that's not the main like strategy. Which some teams will do that. So I thought they played well, and their coach was like, he was made up with how they played. He was talking about like all the chances they created, and Queeves made 4 saves, something like that, and they've had other opportunities as well. I said before the game I thought it'd be 3-1. Because I thought Semenyo would score. And when he gets that one early on, I'm like, damn my superior football intellect, for fuck's sake. But like, thankfully, like, it was off. But I thought it was probably offside. I wasn't really watching him. I was watching, I think it was Kluivert who had the shot. So the ball comes in and he looks offside, but you don't know like how deep he's ran from. So I wasn't sure whether it was going to be given or not. And then I looked down, and all of our subs, they were all watching on the iPad, and all of a sudden they all jumped up as one with their arms up, like waving an offside flag, shouting at the linesman. I'm like, oh, this is going to get disallowed. They've all seen it, and like you could see how sure they were. They were all
it's not that close when you see it back, is it? It's weird that the liner didn't give it.
He didn't give an even more blatant one just after that, and like it went out. They got a throw in, like we cleared the danger. It went for a throw in, and I'm like, well, put your flag up now. I understand letting it go at the time, but he didn't even put his flag up then. So
it looked offside from where I was at the other end of the pitch, because he was just in so much space and so far ahead of everybody else that you just think, no, that's offside. The only weird thing, as you say, was that the linesman not putting his flag up, because usually they get that stuff spot on, and they, when it's close, they'll flag after the player's ended. And that he didn't put his flag up made me think, well, I am at the other end of the pitch. Maybe I've got that wrong. And then everyone went back to halfway, and I thought, oh, no, I have got that wrong. And then there was the referee hold up and then saying, and I thought, oh, no, I think it is offside. Because, when you can just tell when someone's got too much free space, too much time, you think that's offside. You don't. It's very rare that you see someone in that much space ahead of the play and they haven't got into an offside position. So I wasn't surprised to see it flagged. I was surprised how quickly it was dealt with. And then afterwards, we got an explanation up on the scoreboard about why it was offside about like 5-6 minutes later. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
it was longer than that. It was
about 10-15 minutes.
Yeah,
It was a 10 minute.
It was at least 10. But I'm like, fucking hell, I understand.
Young man's game that.
Theory,
You need your readers for that. to read that.
But in theory, explaining the decisions, yeah, it's okay. But I mean, fucking hell. Everyone knew it was offside. Right, it's like, that's obviously why that goal did not count, is because he was offside. It didn't need explaining.
I'm guessing it's going to be for every VAR, which means that, yes, the obvious ones you don't need, but the less obvious ones you'll get as well. But you have to be consistent and display them all, I would guess, is the reason. Because, it was fairly obvious. I could tell from the other end of the pitch that he was offside.
But even if you didn't know if it was offside or not, the fact that the goal was disallowed, you're like, oh, okay, then it was offside. Yeah. But that was really early, wasn't it? That was inside 5 minutes.
3 minutes, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he scored like really early last year as well, didn't he? And it was, and Paul, I'm not talking to you here because...
I was going to say, this big chasm of emptiness opened up in front of me then.
I'm sure like the same player scored inside 5 minutes last season as well, from what I remember. But yeah, that was a reprieve for us. Who knows how it would have turned out if we'd fallen behind. I think we'd have still been fine. But... you don't know that, do you? So it was good that got disallowed, and I thought we were playing well in the first half, and it was mostly Diaz. As soon as Diaz got the ball, you were like, oh, just keep giving it to him, because he just looked like right on it. And it's good because you look how good Gakpo played the other night, and you can make a strong case that Gakpo deserved to start, but the reason why he doesn't start is because, well, Diaz has been playing great, and he only sat that one out because he was just being rested. So it's fair that Diaz comes back in. Now, the difference, and I'll go into this more later, obviously, but the difference why I was saying before the game Darwin should be starting is because Jota's not been playing the way Diaz has been playing. So that's a change that you can make. But Gakpo's really unlucky that he's not been rewarded for his Milan performance. But Diaz has been so good. It's like it's fair enough that he comes back in, and then Diaz comes in and then just steps it up another level, and it's like this, like 2 players for every position that we've got now. It doesn't feel like the way it was under Klopp. Like we did have 2 players for every position, but there was a lot of mixing and matching and players playing in different roles. It feels now that it's just like he's got 2 players who are competing with each other for the spot in most positions, and they kind of know that I've got to outperform him if I'm going to get in the team. Yeah. And I'm not sure if I like that or not, because I like the way it was before. But when you look at that as an example, like Gakpo and Diaz, like they know that they're kind of just competing with each other for that left wing spot, and it's going to bring out the best in both of them, hopefully. And if you get that right throughout the team, you've still got to manage it right. Which is, again, this is what I was saying to you before the game about why I was saying Darwin should have started yesterday. This is before the team was named, obviously, and my main logic for that is you can't have like players like that and you bring them in for the League Cup, because it's the message it sends to them. It's like you're not in like a rotation, or like you're just clearly second choice and you'll play in the lesser games. You can't have that. You've to keep everyone motivated and feeling as though they're involved, they're part of it, they've got a chance at like staking a claim for a place. You've got to give them league games as well. So be interesting to see how that plays out. But I feel, I tell you, I really feel sorry for Conor Bradley. And I understand why he's not getting on the pitch. I totally get it, because, Trent's like incredible. But Conor Bradley is like so good, but he can't get the minutes. Like, so he'll obviously play in the cup, but again, you do want these players to get some like, even if it's a Champions League, just bigger games where they feel like they're not just second class citizens, if you like. So you've got like a few of them. You've got Kwanzaa, you've got Joe Gomez, Curtis, who I think Curtis is like, he came on for Dom, didn't he? And that's the role that I see him.
Yeah, we were saying that on the last pod, weren't we?
I feel like that could suit him.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say this now before I forget about it, because like I really wanted to bring this up. I don't know if you've seen the video of like Curtis with the fan Harry.
Yeah, brilliant.
Oh my god, wasn't that just so fucking wholesome? And isn't Curtis just like
so
such
good
a
with
fucking
him.
boss lad?
So good with him, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was great. But when he'd said like, next time I score, I'm going to celebrate for you. I'll do whatever celebration you want. I'll find you in the crowd and I'll celebrate. And he had that chance, didn't he, when it opened up for him, and he side-footed it, and it just got deflected wide.
It was a good strike as well.
Yeah, I was devastated. I was like, I was desperate for him to score, just to see him, like, go looking for Harry in the crowd. But he found him afterwards and gave him his shirt, didn't he? But yeah, that was that video was just absolutely brilliant. That Nivea Men stuff's really good, to be fair. All those videos that they do, but that might be my favourite one.
Yeah.
Just what a character that Harry is. I bet you everyone who sits around him in the Kop absolutely fucking loves him. You just know he's going to be like the big character in that block where he's sitting there. So yeah, that was.
Is that home baked where he works? They didn't actually make that clear, did they? But I think
it was. Yeah, but he volunteered there, didn't he? Like,
is that right?
That he volunteers there. Yeah. Now he just seems like a fucking great lad, doesn't he? And the way Curtis was with him was just superb. But Curtis is really good with all that stuff. It feels to me like the club just want to put Curtis in every video now. And I totally understand why, because he's really good at, like, he embraces all that, doesn't he? And he's just comes across like really natural. Because it used to just be Trent and Robbo in every video, didn't it? But now, like, it looks like Curtis is the main man for that stuff. But yeah, I wanted to bring that up, because if you haven't seen that video, go and find it, because it's great. It's just proper wholesome content. We got totally sidetracked here. I mean, we're already talking about the second half, and I haven't even gone into the goals. Right, let's get some structure. So we'll go with the first goal. It's Canate, ball over the top, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
They're playing a high line, and the Mane run, really. Sadio always used to do those runs, didn't he? Just like right across the pitch, starting from the left, running in behind. I didn't celebrate it that much, because I wondered if it had brushed against his arm, and that's all it takes now. Like, just the slightest little touch, they're scrutinising it forensically. And I thought, did that maybe, when he controlled it, it kind of looked like he cradled it a little bit from where I was sitting, and I didn't know if it had brushed against his arm. But he's took that so well, because it's nowhere near his arm. It's a brilliant control, composure, taking it round, and then finishing. Yeah, the keeper's in no man's land, but it's easy to have a go at the keeper for that, and he has fucked up and ended up looking stupid. But when the defence is right up like that, it's the keeper's job to sweep behind, and he's got to be high out and deal with stuff, and he's thought he could deal with it, and the ball's sort of held up, and yeah, he's got nowhere near it. But Diaz has still got a lot to do there, and I just thought he took it superbly. But it's a good spot and a good pass by Canate as well, which goes back to what you said before, Paul. I totally agree with you. I think, like, I don't ever think he's been not good on the ball. I think he's always been good on the ball, but Kwanzaa was clearly superior in possession to Canate, and I feel like but we know, like, that just purely in defensive terms, Canate is going to be better, because there's very few who can match him. So if he steps up, like, his game with the ball, I mean, the sky's the limit for him, because he's just he's so dominant, isn't he? He's just fucking brilliant. He just shuts off that whole side of the pitch.
Yeah.
Because I tell you something else, the lad they brought on, that Ouattara, he was really dangerous. And if Canate wasn't as switched on as he was, he could have given us loads of problems because he was really lively when he came on. And I think Bournemouth will give teams problems because those forwards that they've got in wide areas and that. But I'd back Canate against anyone. Yeah, Canate can just deal with any of those situations. But Jules, do you want to talk us through the second goal? Because I know you've got to go shortly.
Second goal was Diaz, wasn't it? Fucking hell. Do you know what? I can't remember the second goal. I have to think a second.
It was Trent.
Trent's pass.
Trent bursting through.
Trent running through.
Oh, I tell you why I'm kind of confused, because I was thinking of Diaz wriggling through and hitting the post. That was before the first goal, wasn't it? Was that before the first goal when he wriggled through down by the touchline? And yeah, it was. It was
yeah,
still
it didn't hit the post. The keeper saved it.
I thought the keeper touched it onto the post.
I don't know.
You know?
No, I thought he
anyway, yeah, no. No, yeah, great ball from Trent. Like, again, how many assists has Trent got this season now? Is he on 5 already or something silly?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and just... 1 second. Pushing the cat out. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, and just, again, like, as you say, Diaz is just absolutely deadly at the moment. And so I would... Was anyone else thinking, like, maybe there'd be a Premier League hat-trick record on the go there straight after that? Because it was
it was 2 in 2 minutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was thinking, hang on a second, yeah, the Mane's record might be in doubt here. And when it after I did think like we might just put our foot on the gas a little bit, and it didn't quite happen because I think Nunez's was a bit longer after. But no, great ball from Trent, great finish from Diaz. This, that whereas you might feel the first goal was a bit of a not a cheat because Kepa came out, and so because he was in no man's land, Diaz's finish was good, but like obviously where Kepa was, I mean, I disagree with you on Kepa because I think he was way too far out, and there was defenders around. He didn't need to come that far out. When Diaz took control of the ball on the edge of the area, there were 3 defenders in the vicinity, and Kepa. So that
but I just mean when the ball was played forward, it did hang up in the air. When the ball's played over the top, he's thought, oh, that's my job, I'll come out and deal with it. And then it hangs up and it's like, oh shit, I'm fucked now, I can't get to it. So he should have just retreated, I agree. But it is difficult when you're supposed to be sweeping behind the defence, and it's like, when do you come out, when do you stay back? But he just got that wrong.
But the only thing I'd say about that is, like, yeah, it is hanging up in the air and all that, but obviously I think he just it's the judgment's just completely wrong though, right? Because by the time it drops to Diaz, the 2 defenders have caught up with Diaz.
Yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying. It's bad judgment. He thought he could come out and get it, and then
I'm just surprised, Dave, you don't want to give Darwin some credit for that goal. I thought you'd be trying to convince us that Darwin was somehow, his movement was confusing the defence, and that was where it came from.
It probably was.
Before we get to Darwin, let's just finish the second goal. So like the ball from Trent, but do you not feel like the Kepa sort of dives out the way of that one as well? He dives the wrong way on it. Is that like just a good finish from Diaz?
It goes through his legs, doesn't it?
Does it?
Yeah, it goes through his legs, but I do think that's one where when you finish like that, normally it just hits the keeper, and somehow it's gone through the keeper. Like, I don't think Diaz has gone, I'm going through his legs. I think he's just hit the shot like hard and low, and it's just gone in.
The Darwin rule of, he scored, but I'm not happy with the goal because it's not a good finish.
I'm not saying it's not a good finish because there wasn't really that much more he could have done based on because he takes his touch and then all of a sudden it closes up on him, and all he can do really is just like hit it hard and low and hope that it goes in, and it went through the keeper. So but I wouldn't say like it's lucky or anything like that, but more often than not that will hit the keeper, but there's not really that much else you could have done in that situation.
Again from where I was, I just thought the Kepa sort of dived out the way. He sort of went down to his right, and Diaz went to the left, but there wasn't a lot of space to aim at on the right.
Well, compare that with the save that Queeve made in the first half after he'd done a bad clear. He got caught on the ball, hadn't he? And then they straight away they came through, and Semenya had a chance, and Queeve's there, and he makes the save. There was no way through him. Whereas there was a way through Kepa. He was like
Yeah.
leaving his legs open. There was gaps. So yeah, I don't think he's a good keeper at all, though. That's
No, I'd say
bottom
he's a bit
line. He's
shit,
just
to be
not
honest,
a good
yeah.
goalkeeper.
No, he's a bit shit. But again, like, decent finish from Diaz and the ball from Trent again. It looks dead easy, doesn't it? Because it's like it's not.
Someone dummies it. I think Dom dummies it.
It's precision though, isn't it? Because it's on
and
the
the
floor.
weight
Yeah,
on it as well.
it's on the floor through like a
Yeah.
bunch of players in the penalty area. So in theory, that shouldn't that shouldn't happen. That's really hard to do. But because it looks so easy, it looks easier than it actually is. It's a quality ball.
Yeah, it's great.
And again, I thought the hat trick thing was on, but sadly it wasn't. And I loved that.
Yeah.
If it's only been us, a player who played for us,
Yeah.
and then us again.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
just on the Trent thing there as well. We've seen that a few times. Like we saw it in the Ipswich game as well, when he made that run through the middle, and it happened twice in yesterday's game as well. And it's definitely something that they work on. Like
And it opens
ball
up
goes-
for him as well.
Yeah,
doesn't
so
it?
like they play the ball out to Mo, and then if Trent makes a run inside, if Mo can just flick it into him, it's wide open and he can
wide
just burst
open.
through.
It's mad how much space he had.
Yeah, and it's definitely a ploy that we use, and it's also something that Conor Bradley's really good at as well. So I think we'll see a lot of that as the season goes on.
You can subscribe to the Liverpool Way podcast on all the major platforms, whether it's Apple, Google, Spotify, Amazon or Podbean. Just search for the Liverpool Way, leave us a review and hit subscribe to automatically receive all new episodes. You can also head to liverpoolway.co.uk and grab a TLW season ticket for just £3 a month. There's tons of exclusive content, including match reports from every Liverpool game, weekly Premier League roundups, the TLW diary and access to the members-only forum. Lastly, you can follow us on social media at The Liverpool Way on Twitter and at The Liverpool Way TLW on Instagram and Facebook.
right, Dave, talk us through the third goal because I've got to go, but obviously I need to roll my eyes at this, so let's go.
Do you know what? I don't think whatever hyperbole I use, I don't think anything's going to be over the top anyway. I just think it's like it was just an incredible goal. So it's not.
The interchange was incredible.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's
brilliant.
not just the finish; it's the whole thing. So like, he wins that header on the touchline, but he knows where Mo is. So usually, like, it's Mo in that situation, like wide, and Darwin would be.
He had to fight for that header as well, Dave.
Yeah.
It wasn't a straightforward header at all.
No,
he had to move in the air to get on it and give it to
guided
Mo.
it perfectly
Yeah.
to where Mo was, and then Mo knows he's just going to be turning and running, and he just plays the first time ball, and then he's away down the right, and then obviously like he cuts in on his left foot, which it's his weaker foot, but he hasn't really got a weak foot. You know, he strikes the ball really well with both feet, so I don't necessarily think he should have hit the shot because there's an easy pass to Mo. If you look at it, like, you can just roll it across to him, and he's in. And those two are always looking for each other. It happened twice in the second half. Both of them should have had a shot,
Yeah, Mo did the same, didn't he?
and instead they tried to play the other one in. So it's something that they've always done right from the start, to be fair. Like, they have got like a good understanding and they're always looking for each other. But when he hits that shot, I seen it at the post, and my natural reaction was, "Oh fucking hell! It's hit the post and it's gone out again." And then I realised it had gone in. So obviously, yeah, I was made up. Like, to hit a shot like that on your so-called weaker foot, I mean, yeah, it's special, but that's
looked a big relief to him in the celebration. To be honest,
Yeah.
massive.
It was 12, first goal in 12 games.
First start since April. First goal in 12 games, which is a misleading stat because, like I said, first start since April. So people are like chalking up like 20-minute sub appearances and putting that down as, oh, it's another game he hasn't scored, and it's misleading. So it's not like he's had 12 full games where he hasn't scored, but still, it's going to play on his mind. He's not been in the team. He's had to wait patiently for his chance. But I've been saying, haven't I, like, on those inside training videos that Paul can't watch anymore because he hasn't got a subscription and they don't put them on YouTube. But on those videos, he looks like happy. You know, he doesn't look like someone who's like in a sulk or anything like that. I think he's like, he's got it, because I do think at one point he was a bit, you know, things weren't quite right there, but I think he's got past that and he seems settled and happy again. I don't know if you've seen like the Milan game when from the touchline view when Kanate scored, and he's warming up with Robbo, and the pair of them are like just like little kids, like laughing, because one of them must have, I think you couldn't really tell, but one of them had obviously said to the other, Ibu's going to score from this corner, and then it happens, and like they were pointing at each other going, look, you see, and just things like that. It's like, okay, he's in a better headspace. You can see he's like, he just needs the chance, just play him. And because Jota's not been pulling up any trees lately, that was the time to play him. Well, he should have played against Forest, but that's gone. I was saying before the game, he needs to play today, and that's why.
We said it on the last pod, didn't we?
Yeah, you've got to keep him involved. If you've not got him involved playing games, he's not going to be much use to you at all, because he's got to be confident and he's got to feel like he's involved in things, and having him on the bench all the time, eventually it's counterproductive. So you've got to get him in, and you've got to try to get him firing. Now, the goal's brilliant. It was up 14 minutes before he touched the ball, but that wasn't his fault. It's just that he stayed central, and I was watching how he's played, and it's different how he's being asked to play now. He's very central.
Good. That
wasn't getting the ball, because whenever he came short for it, the defender came with him. The pass wasn't really on, so and I think his first touch was a shot. It was Mo played it into him, he controlled it, and then he hit like a weak shot straight at the keeper. But that was his first involvement in the game. So he just needed like something to go for him, just to get him going again. And I didn't think his performance was brilliant. I thought he was good, he was fine. But the goal should make all the difference. And yeah,
there was a lot of warmth for him afterwards, wasn't there? I thought that was sound, because as Jules said, you could really see the relief, and he got it. There was a lot of love coming from the crowd for him there, and I thought that was a nice moment. I thought,
but that's like I just don't get like the hostility towards him. I get like people.
Right, I'm tapping out on the hostility and Dave's persecution.
No, I'm not talking about you boys. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the people, and you know who they are. There's some in the chat, and it's outright hostility, and I don't get that, because even if you don't think
right, I've got to go. I'll see you later.
Cheers, Jules. Take it easy, mate.
See you later, mate. Even if like you're not convinced by him, that I don't agree, but okay, that's fine. But I just don't understand how people can't like love him.
Yeah, in the chat, it's become a bit. It's with you, isn't it? With you're so absolutely over the top with Darwin. The Terry and your Al just love having a pop back. It's great. It's great fun for the rest of us.
It's not a bit.
I'm with you in terms of enjoying the goal and the warmth for Darwin, and really I want him to do well. Of course I do. I mean, I must admit I'm still sort of long term not overly confident about his future in the team and in the squad, but I certainly think. Yesterday was a really good sign that things are starting to change, or could change, have potential to change. That point you made there, Dave, about him staying more central. Eddie, who sits to the right of me, was making that point about, he was making a slight, not an exact comparison really, because I don't think we're asking the same thing. But Eddie was talking about how Haaland for City basically just stays up front and stays central, and they're giving the ball as often as possible. And he was making the point that could work for Darwin. Now, as you said, some of those passes weren't on. Sometimes there was interceptions. It wasn't quite there for him today. And ironically, his goal came from him pulling
exactly
right out of position and much deeper.
He's not Haaland. Don't.
No, he's not. He's not Haaland. I agree.
He wants to play. He wants to get involved. And
yeah.
He can't be like not touching the ball for 15
But don't
minutes.
you think that gets to the heart of what the issue is with Darwin? His instincts pull him one way, and the tactics and his head dictate that he should go the other way. He doesn't. He's all about instinct, and he needs his head to rule him a little bit more. And if he can get that balance right, then he could be sensational. I think that's what Klopp is trying to get out of him. I think it's probably what Slot wants to get out of him, is that he needs to, some of his instincts need to be curbed. But then you can say that and then look at what he did yesterday, where it was absolutely a pure instinct decision to fire that in, and you get this absolutely sensational goal. So what you don't want to do is knock that out of him. You know what I mean? You can't, and I don't think you can. I think if he's that kind of his exuberance for footy and for playing on that, playing that instinctive way, I don't think that's ever going to leave him. You just want him to occasionally apply his intellect a little bit more, and to just be a bit more composed in the key moments, whether that's his positioning, whether it's his finishing, all sorts of situations. But if you can't enjoy a situation like yesterday, that goal yesterday, and the whole in its entirety, not just the finish, his awareness of where Mo is, his fight for the header, directing the header brilliantly, and then spinning away and getting in behind the defender. And he did look up when he cut back inside. He got down towards the byline and then cut back. He did look up to look for the pass, and then he just thought, "Nah, fuck it," and shot. So it was the whole package there. There was every element of that was great. I mean, obviously he'd have been getting cursed if it had gone outrageously wide or something. But it was great. And I really enjoyed the response he got from the crowd. You know, the Nunez chants were really loud and deserved, really, because no one wants to see a player suffer like that and to go through a run like that, especially a goal scorer. You know, goal scorers, I mean, it is a cliche, but they do thrive off goals. They need goals. If they're not scoring, then basically they're not doing the job, no matter what people might say about their tactical responsibility. Forwards live and die by scoring goals, and so yeah, it was just fucking great to see that go in.
Yeah, I've got my notes here similar to what you just said there. I've got, because I obviously watch him like constantly, like my eyes are on him, what he's doing all the time, especially when I'm like at the game. It's a lot more difficult when you're watching on the telly because the camera's not always on him. But I'm always watching his runs, and this is why like I'm always saying about the runs he makes and the ball doesn't come, and it's so frustrating. Like he's constantly on the shoulder, constantly making runs, which is, he gets caught offside loads as a result of that. Yesterday wasn't like that. Yesterday he wasn't. It was like it was a more measured, kind of cerebral approach to how he was playing, and it's clearly because of what he's being told to do. He was not always on the last shoulder. He was not always the furthest forward, making runs in behind, and a few times when we had a break. And I'm looking on, where the fuck's Darwin? He'd usually be the one on the end of the pass. And he wasn't. He was sort of hung back a bit because he dropped deeper. So there was definitely a difference in how he was playing to how he would normally play. And I don't think it worked all the time. But I think that's like he's having to think, okay, where am I supposed to be? Should I be doing this? And that's just something that he's going to have to work through. And the more he plays, the more what Slot wants from him. He'll obviously get that. But he wasn't like that rampaging, running behind all the time. That was not him yesterday. He wasn't doing that. Even the one, you know, when Mo tried to play the pass to him, and everyone's like, wow, why didn't he shoot? Even that, if you look at that, Darwin would normally have been in front of that defender, borderline offside. He wasn't. He was slightly deeper and not caught on his heels, but like he didn't get in front of the defender at the pass.
Which you'd expect him to normally.
And he normally would have done. Now, whether he would have put the chance away or not, another matter, but he would have got on the end of that. And he didn't. And I do think it's because maybe he's been getting told about the offside. It's like, look, you need to be starting from a deeper position, you know, which there's an element of truth in that, no doubt about it. But I also think a lot of the time it's like, just play the ball early, play it into space for him, and while he is onside. So I do think there's things that they need to work through there. But overall, I'd seen a difference in how he was playing. And it's not necessarily a change that I want to see, but it doesn't really matter what I want to see. It's like what Slot wants from that position. And he's been speaking a lot about, people have said to him, what does Darwin need to do? And he's not singling him out because he says it's the same that everybody needs to do. I just need them to work hard, and eventually, you know, the chance will come. But I've seen like people seeing that as like, oh, he's not working hard enough. And he always works hard. He never doesn't work hard. When he's on that pitch, he's like, maybe it's a case of he needs to work smarter and not harder.
That's a weird take. He doesn't work hard enough.
I've seen people saying it like that. He's not on the team because he doesn't work hard enough defensively, and you know it's depressing and stuff. And it's not about that.
That's just not true.
You can say
obviously not true.
You can say work smarter, and maybe there's something to that, but not work harder, because this is a lad who'll be like back on his own corner flag, making tackles and stuff. You know, he's not work shy at all. But like Slot gets asked about that after the game again, and saying about, you know, he was back defending and stuff, and he's like, yeah, you know, that's what I want to see. It's really good. But I'm like, that's what he does all the time anyway. You know, of all like the things to criticise him for, that's not one. But I just think people have maybe misinterpreted when Slot's saying about like, you know, I need him to work hard, because he does work hard. But it's about like, you know, the positional when the other team's got the ball, because it's all so coordinated. you've got to learn that. And he wasn't here for pre-season. Jota missed the start of pre-season, but he was back to play like 2-3 games. And that's when the bulk of this work is done in those training sessions, in pre-season. And then, because you don't have as much time to do it during the season because it's recovery and then you're playing a midweek game and stuff like that. So he was behind on all of that. And obviously he's had to play catch-up, and he probably still isn't there. It's going to take him like time to figure it out properly. But there's certain games, like that's why I think the Forest game, knowing where to be in the high press, that's not a big deal against Forest. They're not playing out from the back anyway. That was just a perfect game to play him. And it baffles me that he didn't. But he's put him in, because Forest's a team that he's done well against in the past as well. He scored goals, but he owns Bournemouth, doesn't he? It's like if you put him in against Bournemouth, he's going to score a worldie. Like, Bournemouth must be fucking sick of the sight of him, because like some of his best goals have been against them, just like lashing them in from like all angles.
What does your gut tell you about Darwin under slot?
In terms of what?
In terms of how his career at Liverpool pans out under slot, because this is probably going to be his last Liverpool manager, isn't it? You would have thought, because regardless of how things go for Slot, he's going to get 4 or 5 years, so he's probably going to go to the end of his Liverpool career. If whether he sees out contracts, gets a renewal, or has moved on, what does your gut tell you? Is he going to become the main man or not? Because that's what we would want and expect him to be, for the money, for the talents, for the wages, for all of it.
It depends on your definition of main man.
First choice.
Your first choice number 9, I
yeah.
think he will. I think he'll be first choice number 9. That doesn't mean he's going to be like the way, not even he still is now, but the way Mo has been. Mo has been our main man for 7-8 years, whatever it is. Clearly the main man. When people look at our team, the first player they look at, Mo Salah. Do I think he's going to be that? Probably not, no. But he doesn't need to be. He just needs to be like the first choice number 9 and do the job that we need him to do. And yeah, I think he'll do that. But he's competing with Jota, so that the first thing he's got to do is he's got to show that he deserves to be in the team ahead of Jota. Now, I feel like the last couple of games, Jota's not been great. He's not been terrible either. I'm not clamouring for Jota to be dropped or anything, but you can't keep putting him out there every game when you've got Darwin waiting in the wings. I do think you're going to have to rotate them. And then it's more or less it's a competition over a period of time. So it's too soon to say. He's only had one start. Yeah. So when we get to November, December, and hopefully they've had a relatively even amount of starts, it's easier then to say who's doing a better job for the team, and a lot of it also comes down to form in a particular moment. You're gonna go with the hot hand, aren't you? So if someone's playing particularly well, then they stay in, and then if they drop a bit, you've got someone to come in, and that goes right throughout the team, really, with this 2 players for one position thing that we've got going.
Interesting that Chiesa came on and went through the middle.
Yeah, I thought that as well, but I think that was maybe just a case of just bedding them in, put him in there and sort of give him a bit of
he had an option to, with Mo staying on, he had an option to put Mo central and to put Chiesa on the right. Just interesting.
You could have even put Gakpo through the middle and Chiesa on the left. You could have done that. I think it was maybe that was the position of least defensive responsibility, maybe, without affecting the shape too much. It was just go out and just get involved.
Makes sense.
What did you think? I thought he did okay.
Chiesa?
Yeah.
Well, his first touch was a shot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He's
eager to please, wasn't
very
he?
Very eager. Covered a lot of ground. He's got a bit of pace about him. Didn't really see him use that pace in a situation where it could tell, but certainly he closed down rapidly. He made a couple of runs for balls where he had to run in behind. He hit the post, didn't he? I thought that was a good. He hit it across the keeper.
It was offside,
from the left. It was offside. That's right. Yeah, but I thought it was a interesting decision there to go across the keeper when he's when he was hitting it with his left foot.
Yeah, it was a good strike.
Yeah, really good strike. And we didn't see a lot, did we? It was the very definition of a cameo, really.
It was a nice game to get him involved. Wasn't it? 3-0 up.
Definitely. But my biggest takeaway was your word there, Dave. Eager. He just looks like he's desperate to get on and to prove himself. He feels like he's got something to prove, and he wants to do so, which is great.
Yeah, he's a grafter though. He's known for his work rate and that. So I don't think that was just it's his first game and he's going to run about. I think that's just who he is. Just
good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. So anything? Well, let's talk about the atmosphere. What did you think?
Markedly better.
Yeah.
I still think there's. I mean,
not just because we were 3-0 up either. I thought from the start it was
started louder, and the ground definitely in the loud moments. It definitely sounds louder with the extra fans in there now, and it's never been quiet in the past. Now we've not had a raucous atmosphere yet with this big new capacity, but when we get, I think we'll notice when we get if and when a big game. Let's say Madrid. Let's say we have a really exciting game against Madrid, and it's a really high
City
tempo,
4 days later.
Yeah, one of them. I think we could really experience volume levels that we've never had before, and that's saying something.
The City at home, the first game.
Don't ask me.
I think
it is.
I think the two games are at Anfield, like Madrid and then City. I think so, but I'm not sure. But that'll be some week, like atmosphere.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that I still I really struggle with is the reaction of some fans to things which are just an absolute given in the modern game, and I just don't understand why. I mean, we've basically had 10 years of playing the ball around at the back and pulling teams onto us, and there's still, I mean, I don't know, this might be just specifically local to me and around where I sit, but there's still fans who are just moaning about that, and like just moan, oh no, get rid, clear your lines. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Do you just not been watching football?
I know,
for the last 10 years?
Attention.
Do you not get it? I mean, how can you? It's just so strange. The other one as well is that there was quite a few people with a touch of the brownies around me as well in the second half, and really, and really sort of getting really animated and angry about the fact that we weren't putting our foot on their throats and putting another foot, another 2, 3, 4 goals past them.
Yeah.
I mean, for me,
it's not going to be like that, is it?
I can't when you're 3-0 up.
I know.
I can't get excited about it. You know what I mean? If you see it, great. But if you don't, so what? And I also think part of me thinks that I think Slot is trying to. I think there is something to the point you made before about he's quite happy to kill games, and there's almost like rest when the game's won.
Yeah.
I think that'll be an element of how he manages fitness, and that he doesn't demand the same levels of intensity. If you can get 2 or 3, if you get 3-0 up early in a game and then kill it, well, that can be big for you, for the fitness of your squad, as much as
City have been doing it for years, Paul.
Yeah. So I wonder so I can't really get excited about that. And people then sort of saying, yeah, but what if they get one? Well, what if they do get one back?
If they get one back, we'll put our foot down again.
But also like there's but there's only 5 minutes to go and it's 3-0 and like and someone and they have half a chance and someone's going, whoa, what if they get one? What if they get one now with 2 goals in the lead, we're at home and we'll still win?
We're not Everton.
I know. It's just that's what I find strange.
Yeah.
Now I'm not necessarily extrapolating that out to everybody in the ground, but it's definitely something that I notice a lot, and I don't know, I think it's maybe symptomatic of a wider uncertainty around a new manager. I don't know, but it's certainly the overall atmosphere was good, I thought, and as you say, Dave, before the first goal went in, I thought it was good, and quite loud, so yeah. Good.
Yeah, I agree, that was definitely a step in the right direction, because it's not been great up to now. I tell you what I do find really strange, I don't know about you, but the final whistle, when the final whistle goes, and I just kind of feel like, well, what are we supposed to do now?
Well, I get off
there is massive.
So I get off right on that. So I sort of walk down the steps and I'm right by the exit for the final whistle, and I go.
Can you get straight off, or are you not is there not people in front of you and you're having to?
No,
wait?
I can't get. So I basically walk down. I end up hovering right by the exit down, and I'm literally waiting for him to blow his whistle. And the minute the whistle goes, I'm gone, and I'm normally first down the steps. There's normally 2 or 3 people around, and then I'm out and I just run to get out, and then I'm away. But obviously, I think there are more people even early, because that has to be what the traffic last night was about. It wasn't like gridlock, but it probably took me an extra 5. Kath had gone somewhere in town yesterday, and I was picking her up by the museum, by the Birkenhead Tunnel entrance. She was waiting for me there, and normally from the ground to there, is sort of 15 minutes, and it was going on 25 minutes by the time I got there, and there was no delay on the bit by foot. It took me 10 minutes to get back to the car, but it just took me an extra sort of 8-9 minutes to get along to the tunnel there. So there was loads more traffic, and I think people are leaving earlier. It wasn't like last week where there was like a mass exodus from, was it even 80 minutes? But I think
it
it's
was about 85. I think something happened
today,
like
yesterday.
Stoppage last week. Yeah,
it was earlier than that. I noticed it earlier than that. Yeah. But today there was. Yesterday there was still quite a lot of people going out before the final whistle, and maybe people are just also thinking, the traffic thing. There's more cars, but I don't ever want to miss any elements of the game. You know what I mean? Yeah. I can't be getting off while the ball's still, while there's still football to be played. We've seen so many big moments. I know it wasn't a big moment game yesterday, but we've seen so many incidents and big moments in matches. There's no way, unless it's absolutely unavoidable, that I want to miss anything really. So I don't go until the whistle is blown.
See, I left yesterday when Darwin got subbed. No, the final whistle, it's weird for me because the final whistle goes and I'm just so used to just standing in my seat and watching Klopp come onto the pitch and shake hands with everyone and do his little walk around. And even before, because he never used to do the fist pumps all the time. It was just specific games. If we'd come from behind and had felt like it was a big win, or if it was a big opponent, he'd do it then. But then last season, because it was his farewell tour, he was just doing it after every game and that. But all eyes were just always on Klopp at full time. You just watched him and you were waiting, and we all fed off that and took our lead from what he was doing. And now the final whistle goes, and I'm stood, and I'm clapping, and I'm making my way to the exit, but I'm just it just feels weird. It's I don't know what I'm supposed to do. It's just because Slot's not doing any of that stuff, and nor should he. It's not a criticism, but it just feels so different, and it's just going to take some getting used to.
It'll be interesting to see what happens when we have a big win. So when there's with a big win against a big opponent in tough circumstances, because that will come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It'd be interesting to see how that goes then when people want to stay behind, and if that builds some sort of bond and relationship between. Yeah. And it needn't be about Slot, need it? It could be about the players and people staying behind to see the players. That'll be fascinating. Just on that issue of Slot and the relationship with the fans, I haven't got a problem with it as such, but I'm not down with chanting his name yet, and I'm also not down with the Slot flag either. I just think it's too early. It's far too early.
They showed it on Match of the Day last night.
Yeah, I can't remember. The slot machine, that's it. Yeah. And chanting his name. I'm just nah, I'm sorry. It's not, and I'm not trying to be arse about it. I just it's forcing it for me. Your relationship with your manager comes through adversity and through excitement and through big moments, and we haven't had that yet. And I just think I don't know. Let him just find his feet. Let him find his way in. Let the relationship build naturally. That's not to say I don't want there to be a relationship. Of course I do, but you can't just I don't know. It just and also to me, having a flag sort of just devalues some of the other flags. If you get a flag after fewer than 10 games for Liverpool, what does that say about the legends on the other flags? It's just a bit soon. I don't know. Maybe I'm being arse about it, but I'm not. It doesn't quite sit right. You know what I mean? I haven't got a massive problem with it. You know what I mean? I'm not calling people are entitled to. Someone wants to create a flag. Fantastic. I'm not fucking doing it, am I? So fair play to them for that. But I don't know. It just doesn't quite sit right for me.
See, I do get that, but I would go the other way. Purely because it's such a difficult situation for him to come into where he's replacing,
So it's about making him feel welcome, you mean, and making him feel part of things.
Yeah, maybe. And also, I think this is what Klopp wanted us to do. So that's another aspect of it. Klopp started the chant, and he's like, "You need to be singing this for the new manager." So he kind of laid the groundwork for that. In terms of the flag, it's not like they've put his face on the iconic flag with all the others. If they'd have done that, I'd have been like, okay, come on, that's too much.
Hey, is Klopp on that flag? I was thinking about that the other day, because I can't see it because it goes over my head.
I can't remember.
If he's not, he needs to be.
I think he is, but if he's not, yeah, he definitely needs to be. But I think he is. Because isn't it just European Cup winning managers? Isn't that the...
I think so, but as I said, I almost never see it, because... It's only at home games, and I'm always sitting underneath it. So,
but I'm okay
whenever it's on the
with
telly, I don't really see it either.
the concept of him having a flag. Not sure I like the cheesiness of slot machine. I don't know, but I haven't got a problem with it because I think whatever you can do to make him feel comfortable and not constantly being in the shadow of Klopp and people saying to him, "Oh, Jurgen did this and Jurgen did that." So I'm in favour of that, but I also take your point because if it doesn't go well, it's going to look a bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
Which it kind of... I remember with Brendan, and he had like that song, the Brendan Rodgers Liverpool were on our way to glory or something, and it was like...
13-14 though, Dave. I didn't have an objection to that.
No, I didn't at the time, but it makes me
and
skin
all that.
crawl now when I look back and like I think about that song. And
And he did do a good job that season.
There was
Brendan.
another Rodgers
He did.
song. That one, so here he is, Brendan Rodgers, everybody's having fun or something, and it's like, I don't like thinking about it.
I never saw that.
But I agree, he did a great job that season. I think it's underplayed because
Yeah,
of
it
how
wasn't
great
just on the
Suarez
players.
was. Yeah.
He found a way to set it up to get the best.
He
out
got
of
those players in the team. He got like Suarez, Sturridge, Coutinho and Sterling. He found a way to make that work.
And Stevie, giving Stevie a different role that got the best out of him at that stage of his career.
Yeah, we leaked far too many goals, which I suppose is on him to some extent as well. But overall, I think like that season he did a great job. But
We saw some fucking exciting football that season. We saw some great goals.
yeah, incredible. It's one of my favourite seasons. It's just the way it ended. It's
With
just,
Suarez, isn't it? That's you and me the same about him. It's Suarez
Yeah.
for me that season. It wasn't just Suarez. Obviously, Sturridge, what a fucking player, unbelievable talent.
Yeah.
But yeah, very underrated as well. But yeah, that season is just it's just synonymous with Suarez for me. That season, it's just I've never seen anything like it from anyone.
no, me either.
Fucking incredible player.
Did you see Sturridge on the Inside Milan video when he was walking past the LFC TV cameras and he did the little wobbly arms dance thing?
Did he? I've not seen it yet. I'll have to watch that.
Yeah. As I've said, like there's things about Sturridge that like make me really squirm, but I love him. You know, I
do too.
I've
He's
got
great.
so much affection for him. But yeah, if I was around him, I'd feel uncomfortable with like some of his antics. But no,
You wouldn't be
he's-
Roy Keane
he's
levels
great.
of uncomfortable, would you?
I would.
Roy
I would be
Keane.
exactly like Roy Keane in that situation, like
He
rolling
looks like
my
he wants,
eyes and
he
just
wants the
going,
earth to open up
Yeah.
and swallow him.
That's exactly how I'd feel. But I've got nothing but love for Daniel Sturridge. I just think what a player he was. Just injuries, isn't it? Just unfortunate, but massive talent.
Incredibly talented.
Yeah, great to watch. Really enjoyed watching him and Suarez together. You said we go back to Slot a sec because I think me and you mentioned this before the game about his pre-match press conference. Now I had an issue with the week before Forest when he was talking about rotation. I didn't particularly like some of the things he said there.
Yeah.
But I thought his press conference this week was great. I thought like every question.
I know what you're going to say. We talked about it before the game, didn't we, yesterday?
Yeah, well, there's that, and I'm going to bring up that when he said about he prefers playing against low block teams.
Yeah.
So that was one takeaway. But he also got asked about the atmosphere and, you know, fans getting edgy.
Yeah.
And I thought the way he answered that was, he set the perfect tone for that.
Exactly what I wanted to hear, yeah. I'm glad you reminded me about that.
Because he can't, like, he's not been here long enough. He hasn't got enough gravitas to be talking about what the fans should or shouldn't be doing. Even if in his head he's thinking, fucking hell, you impatient bastards, you didn't fucking help us at all last week, which would have been completely justified for him thinking that, because that's what I think. But I felt like the way he responded to that, he said something along the lines of, yeah, it's up to us to give them something to get behind, and we didn't. And
I mean, to be fair as well, I think we've only ever had one manager who's told the fans at Liverpool how to support, and that's Klopp. No one else has ever done that.
No.
So yeah, I thought that was a great answer. I was really pleased to hear that. You know, and it's not so much about. I mean, it is about saying, you know, about not blaming the fans, but it's about taking responsibility. That's what I liked. It's about saying, you know, no, we're responsible for creating the excitement in the stadium. We're responsible for giving the fans something to shout about. You know, and he's right. I agree with him. I mean, for all that Kloppo got more out of us with the way he dealt with us, I still fundamentally don't like the fact
it always bothered you,
told
didn't
us
it?
how to support. Yeah, it did. Yeah.
It bothered me occasionally, because there was times when I felt like he was totally overreacting to nothing. But
I mean, I grew to accept it.
And I feel like it was necessary because people needed to be fucking reined in a bit. and there's nobody there to do it now. And yeah, it was a problem last week against Forest, no question. But yeah, I thought his answer was spot on. It's what I would have wanted him to say. I thought he struck a really the right tone. But going back to the question about like when he said about he prefers playing against teams who sit deep the way Forest did because you've got more of the ball and you can do stuff.
Yeah.
But he was like, but we just didn't do anything with it. But normally that's what I want. I want us to have the ball because we can create, and you're not having to worry as much about like counter attacks and stuff. So it should have been a lot better, and I felt like reassured by that.
Definitely,
because it just made me think, okay, that was a bad day, but it wasn't because his style and like how he plays is not suited to dealing with that situation. It was because we could be the international break. It could have been like a bit of fatigue in certain players. I don't think his substitutions helped, specifically when he went to 3 at the back, but you know we've been through all that before. I don't think any of that helped, but I think it's easier to put that down as, okay, that's just a bad day at the office, rather than it's likely to be a trend. If what he's saying is actually true, that like that's how, the type of team he prefers to play against usually.
So that's the question, isn't it? Really, is it just bravado, or is it cover? Is he trying to? Is he calling the bluff on low block teams? I suspect not. I suspect he actually means it.
Yeah.
What I would say is, if that's true, what I then want to see is a clear tactical plan for those teams, because I think we've only faced one team like that, haven't we, so far, and we lost against them at home.
There's not many teams do that anymore. Like,
I mean, Everton will
want to play from the back now, don't they?
I think absolutely, but I think the thing to see is when we come up against that again is that we have a clear plan for it, and it has to be. I mean, he's talked about. You've seen the drills on. I tell you when it was. It was in pre-season. I think they were showing the inside pre-season videos, and you saw lots of the get down to the byline, cut it back type stuff. We've said that for many years. That's what City do.
Yeah.
We definitely need to see that tactic. There was also, I think, was there a moment where, was it yesterday's game? I watched it on Match of the Day last night as well, where Diaz cut down and then had a go rather than crossed. I think it was yesterday, and Slot kind of like reacted as though he wanted him to pull it back. So that suggests to me that is something that they're looking at. But whatever, if he means that, for me, that would be borne out in a clear tactical plan for dealing with teams like that. You know, you've got to be patient. You've got to move it from left to right quickly. You know, the tempo's got to be right. I think if you're going to pull teams around, you've got to move the ball quickly, and then you've got to look for cutbacks with players getting to the edge of the area. And for me, that would require someone like Dom to be more at the races in front of goal, because you'd imagine he'd be one of the beneficiaries of that kind of football. He would be in the positions to get on the end of those, and he's got to be putting those away if and when they come. But as we've said, I'm not sure how often we'll actually face that now.
No, but the next time we do face that, it's going to be interesting to see like how we fare, because that was so bad last week. But I'm prepared to just dismiss that as it's a bad day, and let's see what happens next time, and I'll take him at his word. I feel it's encouraging if that is how it is. If he feels like teams who want to just do that, yeah, great. I know how to beat them, because I imagine he'd probably face that like a fair bit, you know, in Holland, because Feyenoord's one of the top teams. You'd imagine like a lot of the smaller teams would just go and try to defend deep, and you know, so if that is something that he enjoys, he'd prefer that, great. But we need to see it. But for now, I'm prepared to. Yeah, I'll get on board with that, and I'll just put the Forest game down to just one of those international break. You come back and you shit. We've seen it loads of times, usually because it's a 12:30 kickoff, but we didn't have that excuse this time.
I mean,
if that had been 12:30 last week, I think we'd have all just said, it's 12:30 kickoff after an international break, that's why we were shit. So,
I mean, I think for me, the things, without wanting to cover too much old ground, the things that made me so alarmed are just how bad it was, because it was really, really bad throughout the entire game. Everyone was shit, and it was losing at home. You know what I mean? If it'd been a poor performance and a draw,
we're not used to it, are we?
No, not at all. But then I feel slightly mollified by what we've done since. you know, in that regard, it is good that we've had a couple of games in pretty quick succession, and we've pretty emphatically made it appear at this stage to be a blip. You know, top of the, I mean, I know there's a game this afternoon where it's almost certain we won't be top.
I think it is certain, isn't it? Even the draw.
No, I think
the draw puts City ahead of us.
I don't know, because we're one ahead on goal difference, aren't we?
No, we're on the same points.
Oh, we're on the same points.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, of course we are. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah, you're right. So we're
Arsenal
not
win
top
puts them a
after
point
today.
ahead of us.
That's right.
A draw puts City a point ahead of us, and a City win puts them 3 ahead of us.
That's it. So we're not going to be top after today. However, to be in that position after such an aberration last week, you know, that is pretty encouraging, really. And you know, I think we have to say that if you were to be offered this without any sort of description, if you were to be offered this position, you know, back at the end of last season when Slot was first announced, that we'd be where we are now, you'd have absolutely taken it, no doubt at all. You know, looking at the fixtures, looking at the games, you might have thought, how the fuck are we losing at home to Forest? But, you know, to go away in the Champions League to Milan, to come away with a victory, and to be top after 5 games, even if it's only going to be, you know, for a short period of time, 1 defeat, you know, clean sheets in 5 games, conceded 1 goal.
Yeah.
You know, there's you know, players like Diaz. You know, Diaz got 5 goals, 5 and 5. You know, there's Gravenberch transformed. There's many things to be positive about. I just have to caveat it by saying that I need further evidence to fully put last week to bed, because it was so bad. And that I just feel quite cautious around this. Coming full circle back to the point we're talking about with Slot saying he's happy to play low block teams. I want to see us against the low block team again to see how we deal with it. I hope it is what you suggested, Dave. It's just a bad day at the office, coming off the international break, blah blah blah. But it was really fucking shit. I'm just glad that we've seemed to have come out the other side.
Something else he said, which I was encouraged by. He said he spoke to the players after the Milan game, I think it was. I think he said he wanted to see how they react to, you know, like to the previous game. So he said, like, we had the great performance against United, and then he said, like, he was like really shocked by the way we played in the next game. So he wanted to see how they reacted to that, and then the Bournemouth game, again, he was like, he wanted to see how they reacted to a big win in Milan, because the way we played after beating United was not good, he said, and that's what he spoke to the players about. And he said, like, you know, he was encouraged by that because we didn't react well to the good performance at United. So then we go to the San Siro and win, and he was interested to see how we played against Bournemouth. You know, basically, are we smelling ourselves? Which is maybe like what there was an element of that after beating United and going into the Forest game. Maybe we were a little bit too lax and thinking it was going to be easy or whatever. But like, it's entirely possible. I'm not saying that's how it's going to be, but it's entirely possible that Forest game, we may look back on that and go, that was exactly what we needed at that time. It was a kick up the arse, stop any complacency setting in, and, you know, you learn the lesson from it and go on.
Gave him an opportunity to actually address that attitudinal issue.
Yeah, because until you've had a game like that, like a bad game like that, he's probably learned so much from that game, more so than the games that we've won. And, you know, like I say, maybe that's something we'll look back on and say, yeah, we needed that. That came at the right time. It stopped us getting like too full of ourselves, and we realised, okay, if we're not at it, we can lose to anyone. And you know, time's going to tell on that. We're not going to know. You know, we could go to Wolves and lose next week. Hopefully we don't. But yeah, it's I do think like that. Everything that he said since that game, I'm encouraged by it, and I do like, you know, it's not like Klopp. You know, I would tune in religiously to Klopp's press conferences every week. It was like, oh yeah, I know what time it was going to be on, and I was there. I was waiting for it. I loved watching them. This is not like must-watch TV, but I do enjoy listening to him.
He does tell you something every week, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he does say something that's informative every week and gives you some insight, I think.
And we're learning more about him, after every press conference. You feel like you know him a little bit better after each one.
I mean, do you know, on that, a couple of other points I wanted to raise about the game, and some are broader points. One of the things that I've been pleased about, because, you know, up until we start playing, we can only judge on what we're told about him and what he says. And we were told that he doesn't like the direct stuff. He's never played direct footy, and yet that's been the ability to mix it has been one of our greatest strengths, I think.
Yeah.
And what I've been pleased to see is there's been absolutely no attempt to knock that out of our game. In fact, it's something we seem to be leaning, in some ways we seem to be still leaning into it a little bit. You know, we saw that yesterday with the first and the third goals. You know, Ibu with the diagonal to Diaz, and then Ibu with the ball up to Darwin, over the top to Darwin, and then obviously, you know, Darwin does the rest, Darwin and Mo do the rest. But that's clearly, and what I'm really pleased to see is that, you know, he's got a load of players who are fucking brilliant in all sorts of positions at making that work. So if he had wanted to kibosh that would be telling me that he's an idealist rather than a pragmatist.
Yeah.
And I want to see a manager who's pragmatic, principled but pragmatic. And so I'm really pleased to see that, and in some ways we're developing it, even with it being Ibu that's getting involved in that now, rather than always being Trent or Virgil.
Yeah.
So that's really, really good to see. The other thing that looks like a little bit of a change for me, which I'm also pleased to see, it's very small sample size at the moment, but we certainly saw it yesterday. I've always wondered why we've got a player in Virgil who took free kicks previously in his career, is really good. He's just an all-round great footballer. He's got everything in his locker. That why we never let him carry the ball forward, why we never let him stay up. And we saw both of those yesterday. There was one moment where he carried it forward. And
Maka filled in for him, and he just went charging forward.
And he also has stayed up a couple of times from corners when the ball started to come back, and he's gambled on staying up in the position that he was in, to looking to see if there's a turnaround and it's worth him staying there. So that to me is a good sign, because I think that will, any time in football is now so heavily coached and so very, very tactical, that if you're not making the advantage of your world-class players tell, and you're not trying something a little bit different and a little bit unique and you know, a little bit innovative count in the games, then you might struggle against some of the better coached, better teams. So for me, those are both good signs about him as a manager, that he's open-minded about using the resources in front of him. He hasn't just arrived with a mindset about how he plays football, which he's going to impose on this squad. You know, he's obviously bringing what he knows about football and what he wants from football, but he's also looking to see what this squad offers him that previous squads haven't. And I just think that's a good sign for me to see those two things.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, because it's something that I had thought of, and I've just never brought it up in the pod. But the thing about the long passes, because I distinctly remember this, as you referred to it, if we were to go back now and watch some of the YouTube videos with like people talking about Slot's tactics before he actually came here, and it's like what Liverpool fans can expect from Arne Slot and all that stuff, I think if we went back and watched them now, we'd be like, what? No?
Yeah, I agree.
That's not it. And that's not to say that what they were putting out was wrong at that time. You know, but they can only analyse what Feyenoord were doing and then say this is what you can expect. But with the greatest respect in the world, Feyenoord didn't have Trent Alexander-Arnold in the team.
Absolutely.
Someone capable of playing those long passes. So he was playing a certain way, and the statistics will probably bear it out, where, no, they didn't play many long passes. They like to play it short and through the midfield and all that. But if you don't have the players who are good at that, then you play to your strengths, don't you? You work with what you've got. Yeah. And that's what he was doing at Feyenoord, and it worked really well. But he's coming here. You're not going to say to Trent, no, I don't want you playing those 40, 50-yard passes, like landing it straight on like the winger's toe. Don't want that.
That often result in goals.
Virgil,
that's the key thing, isn't it?
Yeah, Virgil, you can stop with that crossfield ball to Mo. Not having that. That's not how I want to do things. So he's encouraged that because we're good at it.
Yeah.
And it makes it more difficult for the opposition if they think, okay, so they're just passing it around, and then all of a sudden it's like one ball over the top and we're in. So that was evident from the very first game of the season, because he said after that game, the Ipswich game, he told them at half time, if they go 3v3 at the back, I want you to put the ball over the top.
Yeah.
So, like, straight away from the very first game, he was like saying, no, the space is in behind.
Yeah.
They're going man for man round the pitch, which means they're leaving 3v3 at the back. So I'm backing our players to win their duels in those situations. So play it forward. And we did. And, you know, the second half of that game was really good. So, yeah, I totally agree with you there. What he was supposedly going to be in terms of tactics is not how it's played out, because he's working with the players that he's got and the strengths and weaknesses that they've got. And it's like, he's got better players now than he had at Feyenoord.
Yeah.
They've got more strings to the bow, and it's like, okay, well, that's a good weapon to have. I'm going to utilise that, rather than, no, that's not what I did at Feyenoord.
Yeah, he's not ideologically wedded to one way of playing, because that would be an alarm bell for me.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that at all. I want key principles about how you play football. You know, I'm happy that he basically wants to have the ball. I'm happy that he wants to attack, that attacking football's a thing. I'm happy that he wants to press.
Yeah.
All of those are, but he's not, there's no ideology to it. You know, he's happy to mix it up and use the tools that he's got at his disposal. And that's a good sign.
Yeah.
One other point I wanted to make about yesterday is
Macca's pass.
We haven't mentioned that. Two other points. One of them is Macca playing some lovely stuff, because on Tuesday night, was it Tuesday night we recorded the last pod, or was it Wednesday?
It was Wednesday
night, wasn't it? Yeah, because we did it the night after.
Yeah.
So I talked there about me being slightly worried that Macca was becoming neither fish nor fowl in that position in the middle. He'd sort of getting caught.
I thought you were going to go with Arthur or Martha there. Fish nor I haven't heard that one.
Well, fish nor flesh. Yeah, he was. I was a little bit concerned he was going to be caught between two stools in that position, and that to me is a worry when you think about.
Well, there's one stool, Tom.
Yeah.
That's not me saying that. That's Brownie. I'm saying that on Brownie's behalf. I like Tom.
So when you think about how influential Macca was last season, I mean, he's just clearly. Do you know what I find fascinating with Macca? How he's gone from playing for Brighton to being widely acknowledged as world class.
Yeah.
Like just almost in the blink of an eye.
To be fair, Brighton we're telling everyone he is world class when he's there.
Yeah, and
yet
we're tied to a contract that meant he could leave for 30 million.
Yeah.
I mean, what a fucking bargain that is, by the way. But some of his awareness, the weight of his passing, he's a really
the little one he played round the
player.
corner to Dom.
He's brilliant, fucking brilliant.
They showed that on Match of the Day.
Yeah.
Because he was looking before the ball even came to him. He's constantly looking.
But he plays it the other way, so he's looking at. I think he wasn't looking over his left shoulder, and then he turns and plays it the other side.
It was just fucking brilliant,
absolutely sensational. So yeah, Macca amazing. The other thing I wanted to mention about yesterday's game is Queeve is quite clearly a Premier League goalkeeper. He's better than the fella at the other end who went to Chelsea for more. Whatever we say about Chelsea being mental in terms of what they spend, he went to Chelsea for more than we spent on Alisson. Yeah. He's obviously better than him. Kepa is accepted as being a Premier League goalkeeper. I just find it bizarre that there isn't a team in the Premier League that wants him. I thought he played really well yesterday. He's good with his feet. He's good with his distribution. He's good. He's a good goalkeeper, full stop. We saw that in the saves that he made. Concentrating really well. I find it incredible that there isn't a market for him, that someone wants to sign him. I think the club's valuation is absolutely spot on. And I just also wonder, although given Alisson's fitness record that we saw highlighted, or availability record that we saw highlighted this week, I just wonder if that was the last time we might see him at Anfield yesterday. And if so, I was just pleased for your dad that it was one of the few games that your dad gets to these days, and he got to see his boy yesterday, because I thought we saw the very best of Queeve yesterday, but I just wonder if it might be the last time we see him.
Yeah, so I had that conversation again on the way home with my dad. I was talking about what do we think's going to happen in midweek, which we'll get to that in a minute. The West Ham game, what changes will be made, and I said, I'm assuming that even if Alisson's fit, Kelleher plays that game because It's the League Cup. You'd like to think that he's been told you play the League Cup games again. And my dad went, if he brings Alisson back... No, he said, if he brings Alisson back, he wants stringing up. And I was like... Oh, he won't bring him back because it's the Cup. He said, I'm talking about, like, the next game after that. And I was like, yeah, but he's clearly going to do that. And he went, well, he shouldn't. And he went, and I'm not saying because Kelleher's better. And I'm thinking, aye, what's going on? And he went, what I'm saying is there's nothing to choose between them with ability. But there's nothing to choose between them in ability. So who's got the shirt should keep the shirt and he should play. Now, I kind of get that, like, if you play well, you deserve to stay in. But that's not going to happen because it's Alisson.
In the grand scheme of wild Usher takes that we heard yesterday, that's not the worst. But I'll leave the other two wild takes undiscussed. But also, that's a mad take.
But just on what you said there about clubs wanting them and stuff. So, I said that to me dad. I was like, look, I think he's really good as well. I don't think he's as good as you think he is, but I think he's really good. I think he's like one of the best goalkeepers in the league.
Yeah, he is, I agree.
But we may well be wrong, because why is nobody trying to buy him? And why was the best bid we got £7 million plus some fucking third choice jabroni?
It's genuinely bewildering.
Well, because
I looked at him yesterday, and yesterday... That was a really good Premier League goalkeeper's performance.
I totally agree, and my dad says it's because nobody's got any money, and I'm like, well, that's not the case, because people are still signing players. And he went, they'd rather sign strikers than goalkeepers.
What I haven't done is think through who's playing. Well, does anyone actually have a vacancy? Where would he go?
This is the thing, because I was thinking about this as well, because I always think, why is Jordan Pickford still at Everton? Now, you know, people will highlight goals that he lets in and go, oh, Pickford's shit. He's not. He's a fucking good goalkeeper. He's not like a... I don't think he's a keeper.
He's not a great goalkeeper.
He can't play at a top club because I think he needs to be busy all the time. I don't think he could go like an hour not doing anything and then he'll do something stupid in that situation. But he's England's number one goalkeeper, and to me, he's like clearly England's number one goalkeeper. I don't think there's any other English goalkeeper who should take his place. So he's a good goalkeeper. He's far too good for Everton. But the problem is, there's not that many teams who are looking for a goalkeeper, and the ones who are looking for a goalkeeper are always going to think we can get one for a lot less than what we'd have to pay to get Jordan Pickford. So he's stuck at Everton because Everton will rightly say he's worth, I don't know, 40, 50 million, whatever they would want for him. He's worth that to Everton, no question about it. Is he worth that to another club? Probably not, because they'll look and think, well, we can get somebody else for like a lot less than that. Now, 20 million for Kelleher seems like an absolute steal to me.
At his age, it's fucking peanuts. I think he's worth at least 30, but
so do I.
There doesn't seem to be a market for him.
There doesn't seem to be a market for him because, and I think like what my dad's saying, that there's some merit to that. Like, if teams are spending big money, they don't really want to spend big money on a goalkeeper. And I'm saying big money. 20 million is not big money, but
you're getting a player for 10 years, aren't you? You're getting a Premier League goalkeeper for 10 years if you sign him. No,
I know, I get that, but there's a reason why nobody's wanting to spend that much money, and I don't necessarily think it's all because he's not worth that. I think it's just they don't want to spend that money on that position. And the teams who do want to spend that money on that particular position, they probably see somebody else who they think is better. And that's
it will be interesting to see what happens. I think next summer they go into the transition period between PSR and the new rules, and that will involve a slight loosening of restrictions in terms of what clubs can spend. And I need to go and reread them again before I can confidently start discussing it on here, because I'm not completely au fait with it yet. But my impression is that I know there's a transitional period where they're sort of moving from one to the other, and it will end up being less restrictive than current PSR without allowing complete profligate spending. And I do wonder if we will start to see next summer some sort of a little bit less cautious. I mean, it's crazy to talk about Premier League spending as being cautious in the context of nearly another £2 billion spend this summer. But
it feels like it has been, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, but I do think a lot of that's been covered. But Chelsea have done a lot of spending, and Brighton, and I think Spurs. I think a lot of the spending's been concentrated around just a small number of clubs. So I do wonder if next summer we'll start to see the shackles come off a little bit again in the transfer market, and that might mean there will be a market for him next summer. And maybe that ties into the club not wanting to let him go this summer and thinking there's a better chance next summer. They've also got next summer's goalkeeper to come in. Yeah. And then they're thinking there'll be a market for Queeve then. And also that ties into maybe striking while the iron's hot with Mamardashvili, and that the market isn't there for him this summer but would be next. So yeah, maybe it's good forward thinking all around by the club, but we'll only see that, I think, when the time comes. But it is strange. It's fundamentally strange because he's clearly head and shoulders better than the lad who's in goal at the other end of the pitch today.
Yeah. So I'm looking at the Premier League table now, and I'm looking at teams where he would look like a good fit. The first one I'm seeing, well, you could say Chelsea because I think he's better than Chelsea's keeper, but disregard Chelsea. Here's a really good fit for him. Brighton. The way he plays, good with his feet.
Who's their keeper?
Couldn't even tell you.
No, same. Good. I'm glad it's not just me. I think he could play for Newcastle.
Well, that was thinking that, but Pope's like. I think Pope's a good goalkeeper. They probably don't feel like there's much difference, and they wouldn't.
Is he as good with his feet as Queeve?
No, he's shit with his feet. That's Pope's biggest weakness. He's proper shit with his feet. But if they don't want to play that way, it's probably not that big a deal. Fulham, if they've got what's his name, Bernd Leno,
better than him.
Probably take Queeve over him. Forest, obviously, they wanted to sign him, so. Man United, he's fucking better than that loser they've got in goal.
Yeah, he is.
Brentford, Bournemouth,
We've already said, haven't we?
West Ham.
Who's in goal for West Ham now? This is ridiculous, isn't it? You and me going down this list, just going, without naming any of the goalkeepers because we can't remember.
It's the Spanish keeper, isn't it? Fucking hell, mine's gone blank.
Thingio Dudadio. I haven't got a clue.
Leicester, I don't know who Leicester's goalie is. I know they quickly realised that Danny Ward was not the answer, so they probably are wary about signing up backup goalkeeper after getting stung there. I think we got 12 million for
12 we did, yeah. It's one of the few things I can remember is transfer fees.
Palace have got Henderson in goal.
He's decent.
Yeah, I just struggle to
different
get past
to Queeve
that.
though.
I don't think I can ever get past that time when he made himself look small when Mo ran through. He stood on his line. He's done well since then, to be fair, but that stayed with me. I'm like, no, not having him at all. Then you've got Ipswich, Southampton. They've signed Ramsdale. I didn't know that was a permanent deal until I thought when it went through, I thought, okay, that makes sense. He's gone there on loan. He's actually gone there permanently. So he's going to be in the Championship next year, and then Everton and Wolves. So yeah, probably half the teams in the league.
At least half.
Yeah, I agree. But they probably have got other priorities rather than spending 20, 25 million. I'm saying 20. I think we want 25 for him, don't we?
Well, I think maybe I'm completely unrealistic. I think he's a £30 million.
Well, I think he's worth that, but whether you can get that or not's another matter.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get on to the cup game. How many changes are you expecting for that? Bearing in mind, Queeve played in goal, so you think he'll stay in. So
I would go 10
Queeve. Changes?
I'd go Queeve, Bradley, Quansah, Gomez, Costas.
Yeah, same.
I'd go Endo, Jones, Tyler Morton.
Yeah.
And I would go Gakpo, Jota, and Chiesa.
The only change I would make to that, I would start Darwin again, just to let him build on that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
But what I would probably do, to be fair, I would probably start him and I'd say to him, "You're playing half and Jota's playing the second half." Yeah. I'd probably do it that way.
Yeah.
But
coming back to our rotation conversation from midweek, if we don't see big changes, I'll be very, very concerned.
Yeah, especially midfield. The same midfield starting every game. You can't keep doing that.
I just want to see. I want to see that we can replicate the football with a totally changed team. I want to see him do what Klopp did, which is basically get a totally different 11 to play exactly the same way.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd love to see Tyler Morton.
Same.
Starting would be great.
I love Tyler
That'd be
Morton.
really good.
I think he's just needs a chance. He could be like this year's Conor Bradley, Jarell Quansah. But
Yeah, and I do wonder if he might, for all the comments that Slot made when Bajcetic went away. I wonder if Morton has got an opportunity to go above him in the pecking order and cement a Liverpool squad place down.
Yeah, the first thing Tyler Morton should be thinking is, I've got to get ahead of Endo, and then once you've done that, you should get on the bench more. You'll get. I mean, Endo didn't even make the bench yesterday.
Yeah.
But that's
does look like
we've basically, other than Harvey, we've got more or less a full squad, haven't we, in terms of like outfield players. So for Tyler Morton to make the bench at the moment, you probably need like 2-3 injuries, and then he'll be like next man up. But he needs to be ideally getting himself ahead of Endo in the pecking order.
I mean, I do wonder if there's an opportunity. If Tyler Morton can, I mean, he will need a bit of luck, like you've said there, in terms of the availability of other players. But I wonder if there's an opportunity for Morton to establish himself early. If he can do something this side of Christmas to show that he's, competent, capable, a viable alternative. And I think he's definitely got that in his locker. I think he can be that, no doubt. I wonder if we might look to move Endo on in January. I think for us to do that, we would have to, obviously there'd have to be a taker for him, and I think we'd want at least what we paid for him, or thereabouts. But I think Morton certainly suits the way we play far better than Endo does. And I just, for me, why would we not want a player who could be the future rather than a player who doesn't really look like he fits? And I really like Endo. I'm not knock on Endo, but I just don't see a future for Endo under Slot. In which case, I'd rather just get fully on board with, the direction of travel, and let's have Morton come in and show that he's a Liverpool squad player at the very least.
No, I agree, but I also think that you keep Endo till the end of the season, regardless, because you may need him. Games coming thick and fast. Domestic cups, depends how far we go in the League Cup. Then you've got the FA Cup, expanded Champions League. If you pick up a few injuries,
this fitness thing's the big question for me, isn't it? We need to see if that's borne out. We're really carrying on our conversation from Wednesday night, but really, we need to see if Slot is able to replicate what he's done throughout his career to this point in terms of keeping players fit, then that does change the dynamic around squad size and also some of the most potentially peripheral players. Be interesting to see how things are borne out. But certainly conventional wisdom states that you're right there, Dave. I just wonder if Slot is correct in terms of what he wants to do, then maybe they will look to move Endo on. I certainly that would not be the way we would do things previously, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't think he'd give up that easily as well. I think you'd have a job.
The player himself, you mean?
I think you'd have a job persuading him to leave, because he's already said he wants to stay and fight for his place in that.
I mean, I guess it would depend what the alternative options were and what the message was from Slot, wouldn't it? But
well,
that's my sense of his character.
If it's a good move, he may think, I'll take it. Otherwise, I think he's more likely to just wait till the summer and see what options.
I definitely think he's a Premier League player. He's a Premier League footballer. He could definitely go and play elsewhere in the Premier League.
Yeah, good player, great character, really like him. But Tyler Morton has got to be looking at that and thinking, I need to get ahead of him in the queue, and then I'll start to get minutes, even if it's coming off the bench, because he's not even on the bench at the moment. He was on the bench against Milan. You can have extra subs for Champions League games, but that's what you've just got to do. It's just you get yourself minutes, and then you're in press, and then you get more minutes. But while you're behind Endo, that's going to be difficult for him. So I really hope that Morton's involved against West Ham. But you know what?
Where would you play them then, Dave? Sorry, just before you move on.
Yeah.
So Endo. So for me, I suppose.
Endo 6.
Yeah.
Morton
the Macca.
Yeah, and Jones
and Curtis the Dom.
Yeah.
But I wonder if. Yeah, I suppose it has to be because of Endo's limitations.
Yeah,
really.
I wouldn't have Endo.
Because Morton could definitely play the 6.
Yeah.
Morton's better suited to do what
Gravenberch
does.
We sort of play with 2 anyway, don't we? Like Macca and Gravenberch, they're not there's not like a clear difference in one's
That's true.
much
That's
further
true.
up. It feels like
That's
the
true.
two of them just sort of, they're both in there, and then Dom's the one joining the forwards. So yeah, you just play the two of them in there. But the player who I'm looking forward to watching against West Ham more than anyone is Gakpo.
Okay.
I need to see, because I thought he looked good when he come on again yesterday. It was only like limited minutes, didn't get that much of the ball. But I know you've said before, like it's the aggression, you know, that's noticeable. To me, it's that. But the other thing that stands out about him now compared to previously, I think the best way for me to describe it is like if Gakpo was an iPhone, someone's pressed the 1.5 times speed button.
Yeah.
Because he's just, with the ball comes to him and he just looks in more of a, there's
It's
more
intense,
urgency. He's
yeah.
quicker. Everything he's doing, he's doing it more quickly and more like urgently, and there's more like aggression, as you say. He's not ponderous, whereas he was ponderous.
Much more decisive.
He was really ponderous, and that was what frustrated me. But I'm watching him now, and like he's just zip about his play. Everything he does has got a bit of zip.
Imposing himself on opposition.
Yeah, even like when he'll get the ball, he'll turn, and then he lays a pass off. The pass has got zip on it, and then he's moving, wanting the ball back. It's like everything now is just much more purposeful than it was previously. And I'm really looking forward to seeing him play again, because that was exciting, what he did against AC Milan. And I need to know if he can build on that.
Yeah.
But if he does, it's like, oh God, you've got Diaz in this kind of form. Gakpo's like looking great. It's like it's not easy picking teams now.
No,
it really
it's
isn't.
good, isn't
and then
it?
the other one I really want to watch is Conor Bradley, because he's just such an exciting player. I think he's so good.
Yeah.
Conor Bradley would start in pretty much, I'm not saying every Premier League team, but probably 90%. He'd be starting, and he'd be like one of the best players in
It's
those
funny,
teams.
actually. You've just got me thinking now. Talking about players you're looking forward to seeing. I mean, I feel that Joe Gomez has been hard done to. Even though I couldn't tell you that he should have played in any game in particular. But I think he's been hard done to. So I'll be glad to see Joe Gomez back in the team. I'm fascinated to see. I've already mentioned Tyler Morton. I'm looking forward to watching him. I'm fascinated to see Chiesa.
Yeah.
Start and hopefully play the best part of 90 minutes at Anfield. And also, just again, the point we mentioned on Wednesday after the Milan game, Curtis. I want to see how Curtis does in that position. I'd like to see Curtis get into those positions and make them count. I mean, the effort that he had that was deflected wide yesterday, that was a really good decision, I think, and he struck it beautifully. And he was just unlucky that someone managed to nick it and knock it wide. I think he could get goals in that position.
He looked good when he came on.
He did look good. Very confident on the ball. I love the way he demands the ball. And his attitude, to me, is he's less physical than Dom, but his attitude and confidence and self-confidence. We know that about Curtis, but certainly that if you could put that attitude into Dom, I think Dom would be transformed in that role that he's in. And I want to see Curtis start to add some end product, because I think he could be. I've always felt it, but I feel like I've been saying it for a long time now. I think Curtis could be a big player for Liverpool, and I'd just like to see it borne out. So yeah, another one I'm looking forward to seeing. I always love going to these games. I know I think I'm the only one in the group chat who goes to these now, and fair enough with the expense of going to Anfield. I mean, that's not a knock on anybody, but I've enjoyed these games over the last few years. And largely because of what Klopp's done with the young lads coming through, but I think there's reasons to be excited about Wednesday night as well. I want to see what Slot can do with his, with a different team.
It's where he just puts the first team out.
That'll be mad if he did that. That would be a worry. That will be a worry if he does that.
See, Dom finally got a rest yesterday, didn't he? Like he came off, because I'd said on a previous pod, like I didn't think he played every minute of every game, because I remembered Harvey coming on, and then it was afterwards I thought, hang on, that game Harvey came on for Mo in that game, so I think Dom played the full game there as well.
First
so
rest
he finally got some time off.
Yeah. What result are you expecting on Wednesday night?
I think we'll win, because West Ham are not in a good place. They were fucking dire yesterday. We played them last year. Was it the quarter final? Or was it the semi-final?
Was it the semi?
I think it was the semi, because it's only one leg now. It used to be two, didn't it? But I remember thinking, this is going to be a tough game, because they'll put like their best team out, because why wouldn't you? And then they didn't. Moyes made changes, didn't he? He didn't put the best team out, and we beat them fairly handily in the end. So yeah, I don't think West Ham will play the best team because it's the early rounds. I think he'll make some changes, and I think we'll make a lot of changes, and I just think it's at Anfield. We've got a lot of players looking to prove a point, trying to show that they should be getting more minutes.
And they're all good players. They'll be better players than what them.
We'll have better players than, even if they put their first team out. I don't think there'll be like a great deal of difference in terms of the quality. We should still have like a better team. It's just the continuity aspect of it. You know, they're used to playing together. We'll have like a team that's not played together before. But yeah, I think we'll win.
Interesting contrast between two new managers and what they're able to do coming into new clubs.
Yeah, he's not started well. West Ham lost all the first 3 home games they've played. They've lost all of them. Yeah. So yeah, they're maybe like careful what you wish for. Like they were doing well under Moyes. I know like it wasn't great to watch and whatever, but you're West Ham. You know what are your expectations? He won them a trophy. They were in Europe. Some really good players that he's brought in.
Yeah.
They thought like the grass was greener on the other side, and this fella's come in and he's not really. I know it's early days. He may turn it round, but yeah,
I think not been a good start. Though.
No, I think we'll beat them. I think it'll be like 2-0, something like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 3-0 again.
Yeah.
I think we'll score a few because of that point you were making before about the forward line. I think there's real hunger there. Yeah.
You know what? You've. I'm being too cautious with 2-0. You're right. I think like 3, maybe 4-1, something like that. I think there'll be goals. Yeah. We've got like that much firepower, and they're all trying to prove that they should be on the pitch. Yeah. So,
in some ways, for me, the bigger question is not that we score on Wednesday night; it's do we keep another clean sheet with a completely changed defence? Because that's low key been a really big important part at the start of the season is the number of clean sheets we kept.
Yeah, I don't mind conceding in the cups. I like these clean sheets in the league just because of the statistics. You know, it looks good. You look at the table and say conceded once.
But I suppose
if we're going to concede, just do it in the cups. Just get them out the way in the cups, and then.
I mean, true, but it's also about it's about that continuity of how we play. Really, is that we can change the team and still keep it tight. Great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I definitely feel this end of the week feel a lot more positive than I did, 7 days ago or whatever. It's I just can't overstate. I think we both felt I was really alarmed after Forest, but I feel like I couldn't go as far as to say it's been totally put to bed, but I do certainly feel like it now does very much look like it was circumstantial and it was a blip. So that's reassuring, really. And he's had a really good start as we get near the end of September.
Because if we'd have followed that up with a bad result or two, things would look completely different right now.
There'd be panic, I think.
Yeah, there would.
Yeah, off the back of last week.
No, so all good. Looking forward to that West Ham game. I'm not sure when the pod's going to be because I'm in London on Wednesday. So unless Chris can do it, if Chris can record it with a couple of the lads, then we'll be able to get that posted up. But otherwise, I'll have to record it when I get back on Thursday night. So we'll keep you posted on Twitter on that, like when the pod's going to be. But I'm not sure at the moment. Anything else from yesterday, or are we done?
No, I think we're done, mate.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you soon.